The day Alex was fired from Sweet Haven Bakery, the world didn't just crumble. It shattered with a single sentence that still rang in his ears hours later. "We can't have someone like you representing our family business," Mr. Harlan had said, his voice cold as the walk-in freezer. Alex stood there in his flour-dusted apron, the smell of fresh cinnamon rolls still hanging in the air, feeling every eye in the kitchen turn toward him. Someone had seen him and Jordan holding hands at the farmer's market last weekend. That was all it took. He drove home in silence, the Oregon rain streaking the windshield like tears he refused to shed. At 28, Alex had poured 6 years into that bakery, arriving before dawn to perfect his sourdough and staying late to experiment with new fillings. The customers loved his lemon lavender tarts and his quiet way of remembering their orders. None of that mattered now. He was just the gay baker who had hidden too well until he didn't. That night he sat alone in his small apartment above the hardware store, staring at the photo on his phone. It was him and Jordan laughing at the market, unaware that one careless moment would cost him everything. His chest tightened with a familiar ache. Growing up in this conservative town outside Portland, Alex had learned early that some truths were safer kept inside. His parents still sent him to church events and asked when he would meet a nice girl. He had smiled through every question, baking his feelings into pies instead of speaking them. The next morning brought the first real blow. His mother called, voice trembling after Mr. Harlan's wife had spread the news at book club. "Alexander, tell me it's not true. Tell me this is some misunderstanding." He tried to explain, but the words caught. When he finally said, "I am gay, Mom," the line went quiet. Then came the sigh he had dreaded his whole life. "Your father doesn't need to hear this right now. He's not well." Click. Alex spent the following week applying for jobs he knew he wouldn't get. Each rejection email felt like another door slamming. He baked at home to keep his hands busy, selling a few loaves to neighbors who didn't yet know why he had left Sweet Haven. The money was barely enough for rent. Nights were the hardest. He would lie awake replaying every conversation at the bakery, wondering which smile had been too warm or which joke had given him away. The loneliness settled deep, a quiet voice whispering that maybe Mr. Harlan was right. Maybe he didn't belong. Then one afternoon his phone buzzed with a message from an old high school friend. "Heard what happened. Come to Portland for a few days. My couch is yours." Alex stared at the screen. He had nothing left to lose. Portland greeted him with gray skies and the smell of coffee from every corner. Lucas's apartment was small but warm, filled with plants and books about art. Lucas had come out years ago and moved to the city without looking back. "You look like hell," he said, handing Alex a mug. "First rule here, stop apologizing for existing." The days blurred into a search for work. Alex took a part-time job at a busy cafe near the river, waking at 4 to prep pastries. The pay was low and the hours brutal, but no one asked about his personal life. In the evenings, he met Lucas for walks along the waterfront, slowly learning how to breathe again. One Friday night, Lucas dragged him to a small gallery opening. That was where he met Jordan properly. Jordan was tall with kind eyes and paint stains on his jeans. He worked as a freelance illustrator and volunteered at a community center that helped young LGBTQ people. Their first real conversation happened over cheap wine and cheese. Jordan listened without pity as Alex described the firing. "They didn't just take your job," Jordan said softly. "They tried to take your dignity. Don't let them keep it." Something in those words cracked the wall Alex had built around his heart. They started spending time together. Simple things at first. Coffee runs, late-night baking sessions in Lucas's kitchen where Jordan would taste test and give honest feedback. Alex felt himself opening in ways he never had. For the first time, he talked about the fear that had followed him since adolescence, the nights he prayed to be normal, the way he had dated one girl in high school just to keep up appearances. Jordan shared his own story of being kicked out at 17 and building a life anyway. Their connection grew quietly, built on understanding rather than fireworks. But the past refused to stay quiet. Alex's father called one evening, voice gruff. "Your mother is worried sick. Come home and talk to us like a man." The words stung. Alex hung up and cried in Jordan's arms for the first time. "I don't know if I can face them," he whispered. Jordan held him tighter. "You don't have to do it alone. Meanwhile, rumors reached him from the old town. Sweet Haven was struggling. Customers missed Alex's recipes. Mr. Harlan had hired 2 new bakers, but the quality had dropped and sales were falling. A small, dangerous idea began to form in the back of Alex's mind. He pushed it away. Revenge was not the answer. Or was it? 6 months passed in a rhythm of flour, sugar, and cautious hope. Alex's home baking business grew through word of mouth and a simple Instagram page Jordan helped him set up. He specialized in custom orders for local events, working from Lucas's kitchen until he could afford a small studio space. The money was modest but steady. More importantly, he was baking on his own terms. His relationship with Jordan deepened. They took weekend trips to the coast, walking beaches hand in hand without fear. Jordan taught him to see his sexuality not as a secret, but as part of who he was. One evening after a long day, they sat on the fire escape watching city lights. Jordan turned to him. "I love you, Alex. Not despite anything. Because of everything." Alex kissed him then, slow and sure, feeling the last pieces of shame begin to dissolve. Yet the internal battle continued. When his sister texted asking him to come home for their father's birthday, the old panic returned. He drove back alone one weekend, stomach in knots. The dinner was tense. His mother cried quietly in the kitchen while his father stared at his plate. "We just want you to be happy," she said finally. "But this life, it's hard." Alex left with a heavy heart, realizing acceptance might take years. Back in Portland, a new opportunity appeared. A local nonprofit needed a baking instructor for their youth program. Jordan encouraged him to apply. Teaching turned out to be healing. Watching young people, some still struggling with their identities, learn to knead dough and trust their instincts gave Alex purpose. One teen named Riley reminded him of himself at that age. "I got fired from my first job too," Alex told the group one day. "Because I'm gay. It hurt like hell, but it didn't break me." The room went quiet. Several kids nodded, eyes shining with recognition. Then came a news that changed everything. Sweet Haven Bakery had been quietly put up for sale. Mr. Harlan's health was failing, and the business was sinking under poor management. Alex stared at the listing for a long time. The price was high, but not impossible if he combined his savings, a small loan, and perhaps investors. Jordan looked at him across the table. "If you want this, I'll help you fight for it. But you have to do it for you, not against them." The decision to buy Sweet Haven became a turning point. Alex worked tirelessly, meeting with banks during the day and perfecting business plans at night. Jordan used his network to connect him with a quiet investor who believed in the vision of an inclusive bakery. The paperwork moved slowly, filled with moments of doubt. What if he failed? What if the town rejected him all over again? During this time, a misunderstanding nearly broke them. Jordan found old messages on Alex's phone from a coworker who had been supportive after the firing. In a moment of exhaustion, Jordan assumed the worst. "Are you still hiding parts of yourself from me?" The argument was raw. Alex had to confront his habit of keeping things inside. They talked through the night, Jordan admitting his own fears of not being enough. They emerged stronger with a new rule: no more silent fears. The purchase finally went through in early spring. Alex signed the papers under a different company name to keep it quiet at first. When the keys were in his hand, he stood alone in the empty bakery that once fired him and allowed himself to cry. The space smelled the same, but now it was his. He immediately began renovations, keeping the classic wooden counters but adding brighter lighting and a small community corner for events. Word spread slowly. Former customers were surprised to learn who the new owner was. Some old employees reached out, apologizing for staying silent during his firing. Alex hired a diverse team, including Riley from his teaching program as an apprentice. The first week of soft reopening brought nerves and excitement. He baked his signature lemon lavender tarts, the ones that had made him famous before. Mr. Harlan's reaction came through a terse email. "I hope you know what you're doing." Alex didn't reply. He was too busy building something new. The bakery flourished under Alex's care. He introduced weekend workshops where people of all backgrounds could learn to bake together. The community corner hosted support groups and art nights organized with Jordan's help. Sales climbed steadily as word spread about the warm atmosphere and exceptional pastries. For the first time in years, Alex felt proud walking through the front door each morning. His relationship with Jordan became the steady center of his life. They moved into a small house together near the river, filling it with plants and books. Evenings often ended with them dancing slowly in the kitchen while something baked in the oven. Jordan proposed one quiet night after closing, kneeling among the flower sacks with a simple ring. Alex said yes through happy tears. Family reconciliation came in small steps. His mother visited the bakery first, alone. She tasted a slice of his apple pie and cried. "This is you," she said. "I'm sorry it took me so long to see." His father came later, still gruff, but willing to sit and listen. They didn't agree on everything, but they were talking. That was enough for now. Challenges remained. A local conservative group tried to organize a boycott after learning about the owner's identity. Alex faced it head-on, hosting an open house with free samples and stories. The community showed up in force. The boycott faded. Through it all, Alex learned that strength wasn't about never being afraid. It was about moving forward anyway. One afternoon, Mr. Harlan walked in unexpectedly. He looked older, frielier. They spoke briefly in the office. The older man admitted the business had suffered after Alex left. "I was wrong about a lot of things," he said quietly. Alex didn't offer forgiveness immediately, but he poured the man a cup of coffee and let him taste the new seasonal scones. Some wounds healed slowly. A year after taking ownership, Sweet Haven held its first anniversary celebration. The bakery was filled with laughter, music, and the smell of fresh bread. Jordan stood beside Alex, their hands linked openly. Riley had become a talented junior baker. Lucas brought friends from Portland. Even some former co-workers attended, congratulating Alex on the transformation. Looking around the room, Alex saw the full circle of his journey. The boy who once hid who he was had become a man who built a space where others didn't have to. He had faced firing, family rejection, self-doubt, and betrayal. Yet each step had taught him something vital about courage and love. Jordan caught his eye and smiled, the same gentle smile that had pulled him through the darkest months. As the evening wound down, Alex stepped outside for air. The town lights glowed softly. He thought about the young man who had been fired in this very building and the person he had become. The road had been painful, but it had led him home to himself. True or false? The only way to truly overcome discrimination is to take what was used against you and turn it into something that helps others heal.